Welcome to AIO Tech Studio. This is part 2 of our series for customized form. And in this tutorial, we will see how to add new records using the customized form to our dataset. So stay tuned and watch this video till the end. But before we start, here is our intro. If you are finding us for the first time, do subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. In our previous video, part 1 of customized form, we had seen how we can edit records using a customized form and make the changes and save back the record to the dataset. This was achieved using VBA and data mapping. But if you haven't seen that video, I'll recommend first watch the video and come back to this video again. I'll put a link in the description box. But in this video, we will see how we can add new records to our dataset. Let's first see the changes made to the form sheet for adding of new records. Here I have added two buttons, add, for which I have assigned the add record macro, and also the cancel button where I have assigned the cancel macro to it. Also I have added conditional formatting rule to cell C5 and F5. So if the text inside the cell matches, the format of the cell changes. Cell F5, which is the name field, is a mandatory field. So if there is no entry or the cell is blank, the message box will pop up. It will ask for the required field, and only if there is a entry in the field, then it will proceed further. Also, let's look at the changes made to the datasheet sheet with respect to the previous tutorial. On this sheet, I have added a button named new and assigned a macro new record to it. The mapping row is same. There is no changes in the mapping row. In the hidden support row of this sheet, the first 5 parameter is the same as the previous tutorial. I have added two new parameters. First is the max employee ID. It gives us the max number of the employee ID and it is determined through this formula. Max column employee ID of the employee table. And the final parameter of this support row is the required entry. Basically, it is a validation check and it is determined through a OR formula. You can add as many cells as you want. The basic idea is that whenever the cell value of G2 is true, the record will not be added to the dataset and it will pop up a message box. So now let's see what are the additional macros which are created in the VBA. For that, we'll go to the developer tab and click on Visual Basic. Inside sheet number 2, the worksheet selection change is the same as the previous tutorial. Inside the modules, the calculation and the tab macro remains the same. The only changes has been made in the dataset module. I have added 3 additional macros to it, which is new record, add record, and cancel. So let's look at the new record macro. The first line of code is the reset data macro. It will run all the lines of code from the reset data macro. These two lines will assign values to cell C5 and F5, and these values also have a conditional formatting to those cells. Button edit, button new, and button save will get hide, and button add will get visible. This line of code will activate the form sheet and it will select the F5 cell. The next macro is the add record macro. First, we will give dimension to the variable, and these lines of code is for the validation check. It will check the value in G2. If it is true, it will pop up the message box and exit the sub. The next line of code is the stop calculation macro, and here in the bottom I have start calculation macro. Between stop calculation and start calculation, the Excel calculation mode will be manual and there will be no screen updating. So within sheet 2, the first three lines of code will assign value to the variable. The first variable is the add row. It will take the last row number from the cell C2 and add 1 to it. So our all the new record will be added below the last row. Then it will take the number of table columns and the mapping row. So the next step is the get new employee ID for the first column of the add row. For that we will take the max employee ID from the cell F2 and add 1 to it. Now the next step is the data mapping. So for every column from column number 2 to the last column, it will check the values from the cell address and write back to the table. After completing the data mapping, it will save the workbook. Button edit and button new will be visible. Button save and button add will hide. The worksheet dataset will activate and it will select the first column of the add row. And finally, it will run the reset data macro. And the last macro for this project is the cancel macro. It will assign a value to the variable. It will run the reset data macro. It will hide and unhide all these buttons, activate the dataset sheet, and select the first column of the selected row. So now let's go back to our workbook and do the final testing. We will first edit this record in the customize form, make some changes, and save the record back to our table. Also, we will add new record, add department, add designation, joining date, city, and save the add this record to our table. If you want to use this file, I'll put a file download link in the description box. I hope you like this video. Give this video a thumbs up. Give your thoughts in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Also share this video with your friends.